Hello out there. We're on the air. Oh, are we ever? Figured I'd show up early today just to trick everybody after people were chirping me yesterday about being late. So, you're welcome. Okay, well, we got a different show today. I'm just updating the zap.stream here quickly on the fly. Episode 27 editions of Bitcoin Q&A. Wow. That's pretty crazy, honestly. We're going to leave the same zap goal today, which is get a hump in today for some good luck. But anyways, Bitcoin Q&A, welcome back to another edition of the Daily Bitcoin Journey. This show is actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. It's good to see everybody here. I think I tricked people. We got Deplorable Nerf Herder here. We got Johnny. We got the Zap stream running. It's a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. Well done. Thank you. Bit of a rush, but we got her done. We're in a rush today. We got some things to do. This show's going to be short today, especially on YouTube. But I see Microdose over in Zap.stream. And we're actually going to skip the metrics today for the most part because we're going to touch on a wee bit of news and then we're going to get straight to the Q&A. So how this works every week is that I take questions from YouTube, email, wherever they're from, Fountain, and answer them on the show as best I can. I have a lot of questions today. We're not going to have time to get through all of them, unfortunately. But I always like to prioritize the people who are here. So if you're in the chat, if you're watching the show today, if anything's on your mind in terms of Bitcoin or otherwise, no questions are off limits. That's just the rules. And so that's it. If you got a question, throw it in the chat. We'll discuss it. And if you want to just sit back and enjoy yourself, that's good too. So the metrics today. Oh, no, we're not doing metrics. But we are still going to do our Bitcoin toss into the wishing well. And maybe somebody today is going to win the mill. Just because that's how things go. That's how everything goes in life. It's like whenever you don't force things and just let them happen, then that's when they happen. I always think back to one of our rounds, golf rounds in Shiloh, actually. And it was storming like crazy. Probably one of the biggest storms there's been in terms of wind and rain. Not the weather you want for the golf course. So anyways, we delayed the round. We were sitting in the clubhouse, drinking beer, eating food, watching the storm go by. And we didn't think that there was a chance we were going to get out and play. But all of a sudden, the sky cleared. The sun came out. It was a perfect evening. Turned out to be a perfect evening. And one of my good buddies actually got a hole-in-one that night. So it's usually those times in life where you don't really expect things to happen. They just come to you. So I don't even know what the hell I was talking about there. Oh, the $1 million sat toss. So let's do this while we're hot. We didn't even have to do a captcha today. Bitcoin Wall must have known that I'm in a rush. Even though I'm in a rush, I'm going to try to take things slow on here. Always have to. Okay, we ready? Get your phones out. I'm sure there's people who are used to the show starting at 8:15 that are going to miss this today, but that's okay. We got to reward the folks who are here. So get your phones ready. Wallet of Satoshi, Phoenix, Mutiny, any Lightning wallet you have pointed at the screen, click send and scan this QR code for a chance to win. Yesterday we had 3 winners. I didn't think that was possible, but hopefully we can do this today after my big story there. Oh, nice. My points disappeared to 0. Let's try something here. No, this isn't working today. right, let's take this down. We'll try this for a couple seconds here. It says I have 0 points now. I don't know what's going on. You saw it on the screen yourselves. I have you as my witness. Okay, come on. I'm going to log out quickly and try it again. I don't know what's going on. It kind of happened the other day too, but as soon as I refreshed it, it worked. Hey, Jor, let's have a real quick and concise show today. Yeah, okay, we'll try. Okay, there we go. This should work now. Let's try this again. All right, hopefully you still have your phones out because we're just doing this right here. No, what the hell's going on? Won't let me redeem. Huh. Sorry, folks. Okay, well, here's what we'll do. Here's what we're going to do instead. In honor of Bitcoin Well for being so generous and sponsoring the show. So the daily Bitcoin journey and the Bitcoin Well give away Bitcoin every single morning, for the most part, when it works. So today we're actually going to do a giveaway from me. I'm going to give 1,000 sats to somebody in the chat this morning. And what are you going to have to answer though? What's going to be the hard question to answer here? I can't make it too hard because I don't want to be sitting here forever. Okay, let's make this easy. The first person in either chat. Yeah, we got Slayer says we got rug pulled by Bitcoin Wall. Okay, the first person in either chat to answer this question will win 1,000 sats, courtesy of the Bitcoin journey today. Okay, so here's the question. When was the very first Bitcoin block mined? The date. Block 1, block height 1. When was that? What date? The first person to answer in either chat is going to win 1,000 sats. And we're still going to give a shout out to Bitcoin Wall because shit happens. That's technology. They're an innovator in the space, and sometimes things go wrong. So whoever answers this question first is going to win 1,000 sats. Slayer. Oh no. I thought Slayer got it, but that answer is incorrect. Close though. There it is. There's the correct answer right there. We had Slayer who said January 3rd, 08, but the correct answer is January 3rd, 09. And Johnny had January 4th. He was one day off. Yeah, it was 09. January 3rd, 2009. LMH said October 31st. October 31st is actually the day that the Bitcoin white paper was introduced. But I believe that would have been 2008, before the first block was mined. So pretty, so I'll zap 1,000 sats over to Adrian later on. I'm pretty sure I can get him on the NOSTR. But pretty crazy. 15 years, 800 and how many blocks since then? 853,000 blocks since then. And in case you're wondering, in case you're thinking about moving some Bitcoin today, the fees are still incredibly cheap. 5 sats per VByte right now. And that's all we're going to talk about in terms of the metrics today. So congrats to Adrian, the winner of 1,000 sats. But anyways, Bitcoin Well, once again, for the most part, works very well. You actually get 5 free tosses, which means 5 free chances to win Bitcoin just for using the link bitcoinwell.com/Jor. So if you're in Canada, if you're in the US, set up an account with them. Even if you don't plan on using them as your main exchange, I recommend you do. But even if you don't, it's always nice to have some options there. When exchanges go down, when there's issues, it's always nice to kind of spread yourself out. So if you need to buy or sell, you always have something there. So consider getting an account, buying some Bitcoin, and you're going to earn 5 free tosses into the wishing well. And maybe you'll even hit the 1 million sat jackpot there. Speaking of jackpots, Deplorable Nerf Herder in the chat says, did you hear a BitAxe hit a block? Yes. It's pandemonium yesterday. That was a highlight of my day. So pretty cool. It's the first time that a BitAxe has hit a block so far. And I don't know who it is. I'm sure they won't tell who it is because they're the winner of 3 Bitcoin. 3 Bitcoin. Pretty significant. And I talked about this last week, but this is kind of how I look at it, because 3 Bitcoin, whatever, it's a lot, obviously, but it's bigger than people think, I think, even at this stage. Because as I've been saying, like for the last 4 years of my life, I've been putting everything that I have working in Bitcoin for Bitcoin, and I'm still trying to get to 1 Bitcoin. So that's 4 years. So if I want to get to 3 Bitcoin, assuming the price is going to go up, it's going to take 10, 12, 15 years. So by simply plugging in a BitAxe, which costs $200, hitting a block, 3 Bitcoin, I figured that is about 15 years of work. Because, and the thing you have to keep in mind there is that people are probably thinking in their heads, what, 15 years to earn, how much would it be in dollar terms right now? $200,000. 15 years to earn $200,000. Well, you have to consider the fact that, number one, Bitcoin's going to go up. It's going to get harder to get a Bitcoin. And number two, your after-tax income is going towards that. So you can't consider your salary here. You have to consider your salary plus all your living expenses. And then whatever you have left over goes into Bitcoin. So yes, I do believe that it is 15 years worth of work, energy, just by plugging in a BitAxe. So the good news is that anybody can do it. If you're hooked up to an electrical source, you plug in your BitAxe, you hook up to a pool or the solo miner, the lottery, and you have a chance to win 3 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. So if you want to be part of that, I think there was quite a few people within the Living in the Future chat yesterday who bought a BitAxe yesterday. I'm pretty sure their sales were pretty good yesterday. But if you want to buy one, you can actually use the Bitcoin Journey store to do that. And they come from Texas. They're from Solo Satoshi. They're the best price that you'll find anywhere, that I could find anywhere. And they're very quick to ship. So I've been talking back and forth with Matt from Solo Satoshi. And so you can go to the Bitcoin Journey store. You can get it there if you're in Canada, the US, or Australia. And if you're in a different country, just reach out to me. I'll get you in touch with Matt. We'll figure it out. But for that specific link and store, Bitcoin Journey store, you have to be in Canada, the US, or Australia. So check that out. It's in the show notes below. It says BitAxe. You can click that and you can get a couple BitAxes to your door in a couple weeks and get a chance to win 3 Bitcoin. And even if you don't, here's the thing. The chances of you hitting a block are very low. I'm not going to lie. But there's a chance. You're also going to learn about Bitcoin mining in case you want to expand, in case you want to heat your home with it someday. You can kind of have your first taste of Bitcoin mining with the BitAxe. Very easy to do. And also you're helping the Bitcoin network. The last thing we want here is for the Bitcoin network to be too centralized, which kind of is right now. I think we're going to move in the opposite direction in the future because of things like the BitAxe. But you can help decentralize the Bitcoin network. I see Slayer. Slayer over in the Zap.stream chat is having a conversation with himself. 2007, 2009. No, Bitcoin was 2009. Leith is over there. RJ's over there. Plunger is over there. And Slayer says, great return on investment. International shipping. I believe he does. There's actually somebody in Ireland who reached out yesterday looking for one. And he said that we should be able to do it. It won't be from my storefront, but it'll be from Solo Satoshi. Same thing. All right. Cold Deck. Good morning, all. New member today. Sent you sats a few minutes ago, Jor. Thank you. I haven't seen him yet, but my Sparrow's not running. So speaking of that, No, we're not going to talk about that. That's a private conversation. Martin Falconer, the BitX is in CK pool, so the reward is distributed to the pool. I'm thinking so. That's what made the most sense to me. It was a pool, but I'm not really sure. I'm not familiar enough with the BitX and how that whole thing works yet enough to comment on it. So that makes a lot of sense that it would be part of the pool. But either way, it doesn't really matter if it went to the pool or the solo mine in terms of like people actually winning a block or solving the block reward. Thiago says, "When Lambo." we're not here for the Lambos. I'm sure you're just being silly, but we're not here for the Lambos. We're here for the legacy. That's what it was. I knew they both started with L's, and I came up with that phrase a little while ago. We're not here for the Lambos. We're here for the legacy. Parker, morning, brother. Good to see you in the chat here today. I heard someone was mining with a BitX while traveling on a flight. I mean, it's possible. You just plug it into any sort of power source. So if your laptop has power, then you could run a BitX. I wouldn't recommend that, though. I think we have enough issues at the airports, enough security to I think he was on RHR the other day saying that you shouldn't be wearing Bitcoin gear through the airport. Makes sense to me, but at the same time, whatever. I like wearing Bitcoin gear wherever I go, just in case. You never know who's gonna be walking by. Strike up a conversation, and you never know where that relationship is going to lead in the future. So, but I wouldn't recommend running a BitX on an airplane. That's a bold move. Okay, we got Nick over here in the Zap stream chat. He said, "Jor, had my first cup of Grey Ridge coffee yesterday. Loved it. Thanks for the referral." Grey Ridge coffee, I'm telling you, I love the Ridge blend and the dark roast. Those are my two favorite blends. Which ones did you get? I think you can get a variety pack as well. But that's Grey Ridge coffee. So Bitcoiner in Canada, sponsor the show. If you need some coffee and you want to pay in Bitcoin or in dollars, doesn't matter. But if you want to support a Bitcoiner, also a link in the show notes, greyridge.coffee website. And I think if you use the code KNG, you actually get 25% off of your order. So pretty good, pretty worth it, I would say. Dark roast. Yeah, I'm a dark roast guy myself too. All right. Well, let's get to it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I always like to prioritize the people who are actually here. But let's start with a real easy one here. This one's from Wealth Squad. It says, "Every day the Fountain app keeps telling me to come back tomorrow whenever I click a podcast to earn. Why is that?" I feel like that's a pretty common problem that people have. And it's unfortunate because people go through the effort of getting an account, start, downloading the app, getting onto Fountain, and then they try for a while and nothing happens. They were promised that they would show up and get some free sats, and it doesn't work. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that. I've experienced it myself. Bridge has gone through the exact same thing. What I did was I actually just reached out to the Fountain guys themselves. So go to Fountain website, contact them. I think there's only like 3 or 4 people on their team there, but they're still pretty quick to reply. So I would just reach out and say, "Hey, I've been on Fountain for a month now. Every day I check there, it says come back tomorrow. Is there anything that I need to do?" You might have to update your app. You might have to delete it. They might have some information for you, but I don't have that info. But that's what I would do. And I would say that I believe it was Oscar who actually replied. That that was pretty early on in my Bitcoin journey. As I reached out to Fountain, I forget why. I had a question for them. But anyways, it was actually Oscar who replied. Because there was only 1 or 2 people working there at the time. I think they've expanded a bit, but that's just how early we are. That you email a company like Fountain and the CEO is the one doing customer service. So that's what I would say. Just reach out to them and see what they have to say about it. Next question here, comment this one is, but Kelvin Groover says, Robert Grant is legit. Too much to put in chat. Check out some of his interviews on the pyramids and the universe and how everything is frequency and numbers based. So I just wanted to dive a little bit further into that because we watched the Robert Breedlove interview the other day with Robert Grant. Some of it anyways. I'm still not done it. It's 3.5 hours long. So it's a big one, but from what I've seen of it so far, it is a very good interview. And from it, I've actually watched a couple different interviews or presentations by Robert Grant, and I am very impressed with him for sure. There's some people you see on these Bitcoin interviews, and you kind of have to do a little bit digging into them before you fully, trust where they're coming from and trust what they're saying. But Robert Grant, I would say, from my limited experience with him, great guy. And the other part that I want to mention there about the frequency and what was the other one? Everything is frequency and numbers based. I'm a firm believer in that as well. And I'm still pretty early into my journey down the rabbit hole of frequency and everything like that. But from what I understand of it, it just makes a lot more sense to me. I'll say that. You kind of have to get to the point where you realize that everything you've learned your entire life in school, wherever from, the news, Facebook is wrong. Everything we've been taught is wrong. So if you start with that, then I think you're much more open-minded and open to ideas like frequency. But if you actually do some digging into frequency in Tesla, 369, and the key to the universe, like I said, I'm still pretty early in my journey, so I'm not an expert on it, but it makes a lot of sense to me. And I think that there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge out there that has been kept from us, a lot of information, technology, all this. And I think the frequency part is kind of the core of that whole thing. So if you're interested, people who are in Bitcoin, they often go down all these different rabbit holes. I was talking about nuclear energy last week. Frequency is another, history. But if you're interested in going down that road, check out some of Robert Grant's stuff in terms of frequency and Tesla. And there's a few other people who talk about it. I can't think of it on the top of my head, but I'm a big believer in that as well. Ninju, good morning. I hate working. Oh, I'm not. Can't say I'm jealous of you. Somebody else reached out the other day saying that they just left their job and they're moving and they're looking for work. So if anybody out there is looking for somebody to work remotely, I know a guy, a very qualified, very intelligent guy, but left his job, said didn't want to spend any more days in a cubicle. And I said, man, I feel you. Rick, good morning. More like smashing, please. Are we low this morning? While you're here, click the like. Very easy to do. Yesterday, my video, actually, I'm going to get off of YouTube right away because YouTube's been pissing me off lately. But they put up a flag or a demonetized thing on my whole stream yesterday. An hour-long stream. And they said I couldn't, they demonetized it because I used that clip of the revolution, won't be televised. 30-second clip. They pretty much took down my whole video for that. So I'm going to get off YouTube early today because anyways. What else was I going to say on that? There's another thing on YouTube. Oh, that's what it was. I need to be very careful, and I need people in here to hold me accountable to that, because this is what I was thinking yesterday. I just think that between YouTube, between social media, between all these different things, like I heard a story on RHR yesterday about a guy in Saudi Arabia, I think, who was sentenced to 20 years in prison for a post he made on social media. Okay. And his brother, from what I understood of this, got a death sentence for posting something on social media about the government. So I know that that's quite a ways away from Canada, but yeah, at the same time, I don't think we can be too careful. I really don't. And I think that myself included, I'm not careful enough. And so one thing I need to be doing on YouTube is really being careful with my words, because here's what I was thinking of with YouTube, with all these different AI programs now where they're able to find your transcript, find your words, what you're saying, and flag you that way. I feel like every time I say something that I shouldn't, I follow it up with, I probably shouldn't have said that. So that's the first part. And I feel like if I was YouTube or if I was the government, that's the phrase that I would search for. You know how you're doing like in Microsoft Word, use the find? That's what they can do with the transcripts of these kind of things. So I feel like a very easy thing for them to find people who are talking about things that they shouldn't be talking about are when they follow up with that. So I was like, it doesn't really matter too much what I say. They would have to be very specific in terms of their filters on their AI transcript reading. But that's just dumb. And I've been doing it for a while now. Every time I say something I shouldn't, I follow it up with that. And so I need to stop doing that. So just a bit of a little tangent there. And also for people out there who are doing this kind of stuff or posting on social media, just be very careful with what you're saying and the words that you're using, because I think that we're still quite a ways from that, but we're on a very slippery slope right now in terms of government. Red Rider BB gun. Wish I could cancel my 401k at work and move that extra money into Bitcoin, but I really can't because the match is too good. So that you have to ask yourself the question of, is the match worth it? Like I'm guessing you're probably employer, maybe you put in 2 or 3% every month, your employer matches that. So is 2 or 3% of nothing worth it? That's the question you have to ask yourself. But the one thing I would say in that is that if you have the ability to manage it yourself or talk to somebody who manages your 401k, if you have to be in that system, and I understand, like I've been there before, but if you have to be in that system and you want to continue in there, the one thing I would say is switch all of your portfolio over to Bitcoin related stocks. So I would look at MicroStrategy as number 1, Semler Scientific as number 2, the Bitcoin ETFs as number 3, and then Bitcoin mining and DeFi technologies kind of at the bottom there. So you can still have the price exposure to Bitcoin without having to take the fees and lose your employer's portion of that. But make sure that all of your portfolio is actually allocated towards Bitcoin focused stocks. That's what I would say on that. Letha zapped 121 sats. Thank you, Letha. And RJ says the revolution will not be televised and the Bitcoin journey will not be monetized. RJ says if you preemptively censor yourself out of fear, they've already won. Well, you know that I'm not censoring myself at all. I just think that you can be a little bit more careful with your words, not so much your message, but the actual words that you use, because that's what they're looking for. That's what they have the ability to find, is your words, not your message overall. So I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, as NBK says, you can't. No one ever changed the world from a jail cell. Big hawk just flew by. So I understand what you're saying. And Nick says we're very close in Canada. The latest hate speech laws that are coming into effect, where we can be fined up to $50,000 for something we say online. One step closer to what you're worried about. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I know it's easy to think that it'll never happen to me, as Charlie Major says. By the way, if you're a fan of country music, and if you're in a country, I mean, even in Canada, but there's a guy named Charlie Major, one of the most underrated country artists in history. He's a Canadian guy. He's a very small town bar kind of guy. Never a headliner, never a huge draw or anything. He's always just kind of been underground, like a lot of Canadian country music artists, but especially Charlie Major. So there's a song called "Can't Happen to Me," Charlie's best song. But if you have a chance today, throw that on your Spotify, your iTunes, whatever it is, and you'll like it, I think. If you're a country music fan, Charlie Major has about 10 or 15 really, really good songs. So there you go. Look at this. We got a new face in the chat today. Power Lineman, BTC, Zap 21 sats. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're actually going to be moving over to Zap Stream here right away. Maybe we'll do one more question, then we'll move over there. All right. This one's from a channel called 1 divided by 1024. It's an interesting one. It says, I know this is unpopular, but I think by 2140, Bitcoin wallets untouched for over 100 years will get recycled. The cap will remain at 21 million, but those lost sats get recovered and spat back out. So more of a comment, an opinion. I would say that I disagree with that. First of all, I don't think it's possible to do without really changing the Bitcoin code. Basically what he's saying that in 100 years from now, if your Bitcoin hasn't moved, all of those sats are recycled, reset, put back into circulation because in 2140, that's when the mining ends. The last Satoshi will be mined. So he's saying put all those coins that have been lost back into the circulation and mined from there. I mean, is it possible? I have no idea what's going to happen in 100 years from now. I have no idea what the Bitcoin code is going to look like in 100 years from now, but I don't think it's possible without really messing things up. That's what I'll say. And I don't think it's a good idea, because the whole point of Bitcoin is that it's a scarce asset with a fixed supply, fixed. And what if people have had it for 100 years in their family and they just didn't move it? You're just going to lose those coins? I don't think that makes any sense. I'm sorry to say that, but that doesn't make any sense to me. And there's actually another comment on YouTube that actually tied really well into this from a separate video, but this is from Matt McLaren. So there's probably only 1 million holders of one or more Bitcoin, and that number will only get less as Bitcoin spreads out. Agreed. Keep in mind that if all but some Bitcoin are left not lost, it can still scale by just adding more zeros. So keep that in mind, because basically what the first comment was saying, that Bitcoin's going to be too scarce. We're going to need to recycle those coins, put more in circulation. But if you think about the other side of that, Bitcoin is fixed, scarce. That's the main draw for a lot of people. And so if you change that, you change everything about Bitcoin. But at the same time, you don't really need it to be 21 million is just a number. It's just a number, because Bitcoin is highly, highly divisible. So the only thing that's going to happen there is if there's a whole bunch of Bitcoin that's lost after 100 years, the Bitcoin just becomes more valuable. We don't need to create more of it. We can just add more zeros to it. Whoa, add more decimal points. We go from Bitcoin to sats to microsats to whatever is after that. And that's how you do it. So the Bitcoin that you do have today, if you protect it for that long, think about how much that's going to be worth in 100 years from now. If today, 15 years into this, only 1 million people approximately can get one Bitcoin, I think it's less than that, but think about what your Bitcoin is going to be worth in 100 years. So I do not think that's a good idea. I do not think it's possible. The only thing that we can do there is add more zeros. And when we add more zeros, your purchasing power of the Bitcoin increases significantly. Crypto Shrimp, just another day to pick up more sats than we had yesterday. Hope we're having a fantastic Thursday. Back at you, my friend. Yeah, and as Diego says, the lost sats are a gift to humanity. It's exactly what it is. It's the beauty of Bitcoin. All right, so we're actually going to wrap this up. I got a few more things to talk about. What else do we have here? We have some questions on the taking profits. We have questions on BlackRock and the Bitcoin code. We have a question on 90% of your stack in cold storage. And then we have a really interesting comment here that I want to discuss. So we're actually going to leave YouTube. If you want to join us, you got a couple options. You can either go to zap.stream, watch it there. You can join as a member, a Bitcoin Journeyman for $3 a month. You go to the 88 Sats feed. You can find the video there. It's for members only. I share the link on there every day for the full video. Or you can sign up for Living in the Future in the Patreon. 3 options. If you want to keep rolling here, we're going to do that because we're cutting off of YouTube. So appreciate everybody who's been in the YouTube chat. We're going to hop over to the second part of the show here. And I want you to have the best Thursday of your life today. Thank you for being here. Thanks for everything. And we'll see you right back here Monday morning. No show tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Oh, almost.